Good evening from Washington, D.C., and thank you to those of you joining us from around the world for news from a Catholic perspective. I'm Lauren Ashburn. Pennsylvania officials release a landmark grand jury report about the Catholic Church. It identifies more than 300, quote, predator priests who molested children in 6 dioceses in the last 70 years. It also accuses church leaders of taking steps to cover up the abuse. It's the result of an 18-month investigation led by Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro. Correspondent Jason Calvi attended the Attorney General's press conference in Harrisburg. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Lauren. The report is nearly 900 pages long. It identifies some 1,000 child abuse victims, including boys and girls. The grand jury began its review back in 2016. They looked at some 500,000 internal church documents.
I'm here, finally, to announce the results of a 2-year grand jury investigation into widespread sexual abuse of children within the Catholic Church and the systematic cover-up by senior church officials in Pennsylvania and at the Vatican.
Today, Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro is demanding justice for these victims.
Who would have believed me? A priest in 1948 or 47 would abuse you?
This is not a vendetta against the church.
I just feel like my whole life has been a lie.
Court records in a largely secret, months-long legal fight over the grand jury's report say that it identifies 301 predator priests. The abuse allegedly took place in these 6 dioceses: Allentown, Erie, Greensburg, Harrisburg, Scranton, and Pittsburgh. The report claims some bishops brushed aside victims and protected abusers.
Some of the dioceses sought to prevent the entire report from ever seeing the light of day. In effect, they wanted to cover up the cover-up. They sought to do the same thing that senior church leaders in the dioceses we investigated have done for decades.
Washington's Cardinal Donald Wuerl was Bishop of Pittsburgh from 1998 to 2006. He's defending himself, saying, "I believe the report confirms that I acted with diligence, with concern for the victims, and to prevent future acts of abuse." Attorney General Shapiro says he's not backing down.
The time for institutions to place their own interests above protecting our children is over.
Cardinal Wuerl is mentioned in this report some 200 times. The report in total is 900 pages long, so there's still a lot to digest. But our colleagues at Catholic News Agency have found that of the 19 cases against priests that arose during Cardinal Wuerl's time as Bishop of Pittsburgh, they said 18 of those priests were removed from ministry immediately. Lauren?
So what happens to those priests who are still active in ministry?
So several priests are fighting claims against them. So what was released today was a redacted copy of the grand jury's report. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania will have oral arguments in their claims in September. Now, the Diocese of Pittsburgh, the current bishop there, says there are just a few priests that are still serving actively in ministry. He says the diocese did investigate the allegations against those priests, and they found those claims unsubstantiated.
We'll be following this story. Capitol Hill correspondent Jason Calvi. Thank you, Jason.